Hello, I'm Jennifer Cates, and I'm the Senior Product Development Manager at Digital Combustion, and today we're going to talk about Fire Studio 7. Fire Studio 7 is made to take digital pictures of your own buildings, bring them into the program, and add smoke, fire, explosions, hazmat elements, victims, and create an ultra-realistic simulation. And it's used for training, promotional assessment centers, and any other time you're going to need an ultra-realistic view of an emergency incident. So let's go ahead and take a look at what you can do with Fire Studio 7. One of the most important things to Digital Combustion since its inception has been its relentless pursuit of realistic simulations. As firefighters, you make a lot of your decisions based solely on what you see, and so with Digital Combustion software, we wanted to make the most realistic simulation possible so that in a testing or training situation, the more realistic simulation that someone sees, the more realistic the feedback that they give will be from seeing that simulation. And Digital Combustion was created by two firefighters who lived this for 30 years each, and so they know it very well, and this is the culmination of over 25 years of work with this product. So I hope you like what you see, and you'll get a hold of us and be able to put Fire Studio into your training as well. So as you can see, by adding a lot of different layers of smoke and fire and even damage on the building, we can create an incredibly realistic simulation, all the way down to even the moving trees in the background. So keep in mind, this is just a two-dimensional picture that was taken with a cell phone, but you can see that once you add all these different elements to it, it can look extremely realistic. We can also change the conditions of the fire and smoke by using keyboard shortcuts to trigger different events. In this one, I'm going to use a keyboard shortcut, and we're going to add a hose stream and then also knock down some of that smoke and change the smoke conditions, and that's all done with just one keyboard shortcut. So it makes it really nice if you want to control exactly what happens, we can make these custom-made keyboard shortcuts to make any kind of change happen on a command. So we can also make the fire worse if we wanted with keyboard shortcuts, so we could be increasing the fire instead of decreasing it and making the situation worse. Another thing we can do is we can add moving victims. Fire Studio has what we call video clip art, and with that video clip art, you can, as you can see here, we can have someone hanging out of a window. We can actually have people dropping out of a window, so we have a jumper, or even someone on fire coming out of a window. So we can add stress to the simulation by adding these different elements. And talking about that video clip art, here's some examples of where we have real victims. And so these aren't just cardboard cutouts of people. These are actually moving. We shot them on green screen video. That flag up at the top is a piece of video clip art. So we can do all sorts of different things. Even, again, it's just a picture, but we can even bring firefighters in that are doing different tasks within the simulation. So we've got all sorts of different things that we can do with that. Now with Fire Studio 7, we've added a lot of new smoke and fire and ultra-realistic smoke and fire. And as you can see here, it's not just the columns of smoke and just different loops of fire. We've even put individual building elements with beams and cross beams and window frames, and you'll see some of those throughout the simulation, but we can get much more technical as far as what type of simulation we can build. This is a time simulation, so it's going to go start to finish without me doing anything. I've just added time frames for each different layer that I put on the screen, and so as you can see, they start fading in over time, and now we've got some fire coming up in that eaves, and so you can see it's quickly spreading throughout this entire house. And so this is just a great example of creating a simulation that just auto runs by itself, where you don't have to do anything once you build it. And this is pretty handy if you have to have a bunch of people coming through a promotional assessment center where each simulation has to be exactly the same for all the candidates. So now let's switch to the rear of this building. Since we have this included on this simulation, if requested, we can go ahead and show the rear of that building so that they can see what's going on the other side, as if they did a 360-degree walk around. And then they can go back to the front, and we can continue the simulation and finish it off from there. This is another example of the many different types of smoke and fire layers that are included with Fire Studio 7. And you can see that this is some really thick, voluminous smoke and works well in a hazmat type situation or any carbon-based smoke and fire. But just keep in mind that all of these smoke and fire layers can be edited, so you can change the color, the density, the wind direction, the speed of the smoke, and many other aspects, so that there's literally thousands of choices you can make to create whatever kind of simulation you'd like. In this simulation, we're showing a timed explosion. So these are used in the event system of Fire Studio. So we can set a time to go off for any of the layers that we put on the screen so that we can have something happen at a very specific time in the simulation. And that can be done, again, with any of the layers, whether it's smoke, fire, victims, or anything else. You can have them appear at a specific time. Now on this simulation, we've got keyboard shortcuts to trigger the explosions, so I'm going to hit those now. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you have complete control of when those explosions happen. And of course, we can add sounds to all those explosions as well. Again, it doesn't have to be a building. Here we've got a lot of different aircraft simulations. Some of these we've got off of Google Images, and some of them we've taken ourselves, but you can see you can create a wide variety of different types of simulations and it, again, doesn't have to be a building. Here's an example of a hazardous material incident. So we've got liquid leaks, vapor leaks, and there's a victim in there. You can see the smoke changing color behind that liquid leak. We can even put in, if we're teaching a class and maybe we want to show different placards and talk about different things we do depending on what materials were in there. So there's all sorts of different things you can do with hazardous materials. We can also do EMS. Here's a MCI or mass casualty. We've added a lot of our victims. We can even go in and triage those patients with triage tags. And so we can have those show up within the simulation. Just different ideas of doing things that are not only fire related, but all of your EMS incidents that you have to go on as well. And so these are great training tools to get people thinking about the right thing they need to do on these type calls. So we can do wildland, urban interface. We can show overhead maps. We can show satellite views, drone footage. There's all sorts of different things you can do. As long as you can take a picture of it, you can bring it into Fire Studio and use it in your simulation. And again, this just shows that it doesn't have to be a building. Here we have some different ship fires, and those can be small, big, all the way up to a cruise ship, as you can see here. Storage facilities, grain silos, anything you can think of, you can bring it in here. Here's a high-rise fire. We're showing an approach shot. As we come in, here's another view of a satellite or map view, so we can show where staging is going to be, how the engine's getting in and out, and maybe just a good overhead view of where things are. We can show the main entry. We can put text on the screen. We can even show the alarm panel and then light up different floors based on what you want to show on that simulation, so those can match what floors you have the fire on. This is an example of using video instead of just still pictures. And here we've got a video of someone interior in the stairwell going up different floors. And you can see we've even marked the floors with text layers so we can see what floor we're on. And this is just a great way of showing what's going on inside the building, as well as handling the passage of time. Now, as we return to the exterior of that building, we can still use the split view to show both interior and exterior views, so we can show what's going on outside and inside the building simultaneously. So that's a really powerful feature. And then when we go back out to the exterior, we can see that this fire is now jumping floors, and it continues to spread. Now we've gone back into an interior hallway, so you can see here we've got rollover conditions up in the ceiling area, and the smoke is starting to bank down toward the ground. So this is, again, another way that if someone's seeing just this view, they're going to have to give the report on conditions of what's happening on the inside of the building to those that can't see it on the outside. This simulation is taken from SimPack 3, and that's our newest simulation pack available for purchase, where we've got multiple simulations already made for you. And this is a great simulation because it shows off some of the new smoke and fire included with Fire Studio 7, as well as even some knockdowns. So you'll see the smoke start to change colors here, and you'll get a really good knockdown effect. So you can see from having a well-involved fire, and then as we start knocking it down and putting water on the fire, you'll be able to see that it starts to lighten down and the conditions change drastically. As we conclude this video, we hope that the different examples that we've shown you and the many different simulations have given you a really good idea of what is capable with this software and Fire Studio 7. With a little bit of training and some creativity, you can create some very powerful simulations that you can immediately use in your training from day to day and all the way up to your promotional assessment centers. If you want to see a lot more information and you want to get more information on Fire Studio, just go to digitalcombustion.com. We've got a lot of videos on there. We've got a lot of help files. You can ask our chatbot questions and get answers in real time 24/7. There's just a lot of great info there if you're looking to purchase this for your department. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope it gave you a lot more information that you might need for Fire Studio if you're thinking of purchasing it. And if you have any other questions, again, go to digitalcombustion.com. You can shoot us an email at support@digitalcombustion.com, and we'll be happy to help you through the whole process. Thanks for watching, and I'm Jennifer Cates for Digital Combustion.